Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Concept Soup. Concept Soup. Yeah. Oh, welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. I've been away for a while. Yes, I know. I've been a busy boy. But I'm back with an upload, and today it's going to be really squeezing out the value of some components to really try and get you the most for your money, whilst not sacrificing the kind of style you're used to seeing here on the channel. Today it's the 3060 Ti, sort of ultimate, sort of squeezing every last bit of value out to try and get you the most for your money. So we're building up the JCPC Crystal today. Of course, you know I own jcpccustoms.com. So if you like this PC, then you can actually probably buy it, because it's probably still going to be available by the time this does go up on YouTube. So always worth checking out jcpccustoms.com if you do want this machine. Now, you'd be forgiven for thinking that I was sponsored by Huel. I just happen to be wearing the t-shirt. I just happen to be eating the bars. I'm not sponsored by Huel, but I am sponsored by jcpccustoms.com. That's my company, where you can see all the PCs that we build up here on the channel are for sale, and at decent prices. In most cases, cheaper than you can do it yourself, particularly in this current market. So, something to think about, jcpccustoms.com. We've got some pretty sweet gaming PCs there, but I won't chew your ear off anymore. Let's get into the video. And we're off to an excellent start, because my footage of the parts got a bit corrupted, didn't it? So I don't have that anymore. So you're going to have to look at my lovely face while I talk through the parts list, but I'll make it nice and succinct for you. Right, so starting with the processor on this machine, it's the Ryzen 5 5600X, because we know that's got powerful single core speed. 6 cores and 12 threads is decent for a sort of mid-range, upper mid-range system. So that's going to be a really nice little processor there, really going to squeeze all the performance out. For the cooler, we're just going with the one that comes in the box, the Race Stealth, because people will tell you that this cooler is inadequate, and that's just not true. It wouldn't be put with the CPU if that wasn't true, for one, but also I've used it and it's fine. There's maybe a difference of maybe 80 to 100 megahertz between using the stock cooler and maybe an aftermarket cooler like an Arctic Freezer 34 or one of the cheaper AIOs. So it's not really very much different at all. You're not going to really notice a huge difference, except maybe on the noise. So that's where this is let down. It's a little bit noisier than other coolers, but it's fine. And we're trying to squeeze out the most for our money as we can. So that's why we're going with that. Motherboard, again, we're going for saving the money, just going really concentrating down. We're going for the MSI A520M Vector Wi-Fi. And you might think, A520, isn't that like the really cheap rubbish chipset? And I'm going to tell you why I chose this one. One, it's got Wi-Fi built in, so that's pretty nice. That's pretty good. It's good price motherboard, about 75 quid. Actually not that bad power delivery. So it's actually got a heatsink on one side of the VRM, so that's pretty good. It does only have 2 memory slots, which, might be a bit of a hindrance, but it's okay. The other reason I went for this one is a Ryzen 5 5600X does not use very much power. You don't need elaborate power delivery for a Ryzen 5 5600X. Like if you put this on like a crosshair ROG or whatever, the top end motherboards, you're not going to get really very much extra performance out of it, and basically you're wasting your money. With the A520M Vector Wi-Fi, it's a decently built A520, plenty of power delivery for such a modest chip, so there's going to be absolutely no problems there whatsoever. That's what makes this a really good choice. The only thing you're missing out on is PCIe Generation 4, but that doesn't make any difference to gaming performance at all, so it's not really that useful, unless you're a content creator, in which case you would want a different build anyway. Anyway, we've talked about motherboard for ages, so hopefully the rest will be nice and quick. So we've gone for some HyperX 16GB, 2x8, DDR4 3466 speed, CL16. Picked this up on a pretty nice deal the other week. It's not quite 3600, but like we said on the channel here before, the difference between even 3200 and 3600 is so minimal that most people will never even notice it, even if they have the frame rate counter on. But we've gone for this. It's nicely tuned. It used to be owned by Kingston HyperX, but apparently it's its own brand now. But hey, there you go. For the storage, we've got our old reliable, the 1TB Western Digital SN550 NVMe SSD. Fast load times, plenty of storage. That's what you really, really want from your storage. That's a really perfect SSD because it balances all the price to performance. Video card today is the EVGA XC Gaming RTX 3060 Ti. Of course, this is considered one of the lower RTX 3060 Ti's, but still does a really good job of cooling. It's really all you need. So again, the difference between sort of the cheaper RTX 3060 Ti's and the really expensive ones is so minimal that it's not worth the extra money outlay. I think in most cases you should probably just go for the lower end of all of the RTX 3000 series because the difference is very little. There might be an exception to be made when you go for a 3090 because you're already spending quite a lot of money on that, so maybe it's worth spending a little bit more for a better model. But for everything below that, you might as well just get one of the cheapest ones in the stack because it's just not going to make very much of a difference. The case, really good choice here. Phanteks P360A, coming with those RGB accents, mesh front panel, just well designed throughout and a decent price, about 68 quid. Power supply, Cooler Master MWB Bronze V2, 650 watts, one of the favourites on the channel just because it's reliable, solid, plenty of power for this system, and indeed if you wanted to put something a bit better in there in the future, maybe a 3070 Ti, that'll handle that just fine. We've obviously got another fan in the back because the case comes with two, so we've got a Phanteks SK120 to chuck in the back. And there we go, that's it. So that's the parts list. Let's roll the montage and then we'll get into some gaming footage afterwards and talk a bit more about the build process. Laters!
Wait, there's a chest on the roof. Got behind you, didn't I, boy? Ooh, that's cherry.
So you've seen the build there. Looks pretty nice. You've seen some gaming. Probably didn't look quite as nice. I am not as skilled on the battlefield as I am at configuring PCs. But let's talk about the good and the bad from this build process. So there's going to be way more good than bad because this is brilliant. So the total bill of materials for this, was just shy of 1,200 quid, and for the performance that you get for that money, it's actually really good. And remember, we're in July 2021 here, so if you're looking at this in the future, this might not be as good value in that market, but pretty nice. And you know, you're shaving off bits of cost here and there with the parts, but it does overall make a big difference. And the 3060 Ti versus the 3070, there's not a huge gap in that. So for 1080p and 1440p gaming, this is a really, really nice setup. What can I say? Really good. I mean, the only thing, if it was my personal system, that I might change is that I'd probably put a different kind of CPU cooler on there, either an Arctic Freezer 34, like a tower cooler, or perhaps even just a modest AIO, like an ID cooling Frost Flow or something. And that's not for cooling though, that's mainly just for the noise levels. This is not a loud PC by any means, but I have quite high expectations in terms of, you know, good volume, keeping it nice and quiet, so it's a personal thing. The motherboard has worked absolutely brilliantly, and especially if you're just trying to shave those costs down, the A520M Vector is a really, really good choice. And actually, another really good choice that has just come onto the market actually is that the B450s, like the Tomahawk, are super, super cheap at the moment. So, in fact, I would probably go for that. I just didn't have that at the time of making this video. Really good all round. I love the Phanteks P360A. It's very easy to build in. It's really nicely designed. And it comes in, you know, about 20 quid cheaper than the P400A, and all you're really getting is one less fan on the front. So really good. I really did enjoy putting this system together. It was very fast as well. Managed to get this one done in half an hour. So overall, very pleased with the performance, especially given the price. I think this is a really good PC. So either build it yourself, or of course it is going to be available on jcpccustoms.com for you to buy, as well as loads of other gaming PCs that are going to look pretty sweet. But I'm going to leave it there. Please like, please subscribe. Nice to be back, and catch you in the next one. Oh yeah.